As I stand here, I represent every mother, every grandmother, every aunt, even the fathers who have a loved one that's incarcerated. Families struggle to know how to help their loved ones when they are released from prison. Not having the skills, the right tools, the education made available to us may result to unnecessary that our loved ones return back to prison. This is especially true of our loved ones that have a drug addiction, alcohol problem, or even a mental health problem. I brought some statistics that I had gotten a few years ago. 80% of prisoners report histories of drug or alcohol abuse. 55% report using drugs or alcohol when they committed their crime. 90% have not ever received substance abuse treatment during incarceration, and most of them have never received any kind of treatment before they even went inside the prison. And I'm representing my son, who's been in and out of prison most of his life. 75 go back to prison because they never received those treatments. And 27% return back when they have received treatments. I didn't know, first of all, that my son had a drug problem. So the only thing I knew when he came home was to show him that emotional and financial support. It was hard for him to find a job because of his criminal background. But we kept encouraging him not to give up. I never forget the time that we went to church when he had came home. And my son said, "Mommy, I'm just gonna take a walk." And I said, "Okay." So when he went out the door, I decided to go and stand at the window and watch him, praying that he wouldn't go back to drugs. And as he was walking down the street, I saw a man walk across the street and hand him some drugs. And I said, I know he didn't just give my son drugs, but he did. And so my heart stopped and my stomach dropped. What should I do? Months later, my statistic says he was committed and went back to prison. So I visited with him and I talked about his condition. And he said to me, and most of this is true about a lot of people, he said, "Mommy, I really didn't know I had a drug problem until I stole your church clothes." It took 2 prison terms before he knew he had a problem. These are the challenges that families have to face when their loved ones come home with a drug addiction or with mental health. This is why family needs support systems. And my experience have led me 28 years ago to create a support system for families. And we started this shuttle bus service, and my mother, and I told Mom, I said, "Mom, I need to start a prison shuttle service. But I have no idea what I'm supposed to do." And she said, "Just use what you got." So I called a lady by the name of Alice Ross. Well, I called the retired executive because I had no idea. Met with a lady by the name of Alice Ross, and she said, "We've never heard of a prison shuttle service anywhere." She said, "I have an attorney, 2 attorney daughters, but I'm going to introduce you to a lady by the name of Roberta," which is my daughter, Roberta Ross, 28 years ago, and she's here today. And we started the process. And because of my suffering, I'm able to encourage other families as we take them to the 16 different prisons in the state of Indiana for the 28 years. We own 3 buses. I've given you information in your folders that you may be able to share with other people. People assume that that they can just stop doing drugs on their own. And my son came from a pretty good family, but when they get on those drugs, that's a fierce thing, a demon to fight. And if we can keep our families and our sons and daughters from even trying it, then we will help to reduce the recidivism rate. So as the families are going to these 16 different prisons, my driver's back there, we're trying to educate them. We started a women's retreat for families, mothers, because a lot of our mothers and aunts and grandmothers, they can't even read. They're on disabilities, and they have mental problems going on, and I'm still learning. These 28 years, I've joined different organizations and sit on boards so that I could learn. And as I learn, I'm able to share my information with someone else. So I want to say thank you for listening to me, and thank you for coming out.